You know that feeling. It's 3 p.m. You've checked your email 47 times. You've answered texts. You've scrolled through your feed. And somehow the main thing you wanted to accomplish today still sits undone. You're busy, but you're not actually getting anywhere. And then there's the habits that undermine you. The late-night snacking. The doom scrolling before bed. The work projects that drag on, because your attention is shattered into 100 pieces. The problem isn't that you lack willpower. It's not that you're lazy or unfocused. The problem is that nobody ever taught you how productivity actually works, how habits actually form, how to design your life, your environment, and your daily systems so that doing the right thing becomes the path of least resistance. Today, we're counting down 5 books that answer exactly those questions. These aren't motivational fluff. These are evidence-based frameworks from researchers, psychologists, and people who've spent decades figuring out why some people accomplish extraordinary things, and why most of us don't. Let's start with number 5. Number 5 is Atomic Habits by James Clear. If you've been alive in the last 5 years, you've probably heard about this one. And if you haven't read it yet, here's why you should. The core argument is simple but transformative. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. It doesn't matter if you dream of writing a novel or running a marathon. What matters is the system you have in place every single day. Clear breaks down how habits actually work using what he calls the habit loop. There's a cue, a routine, and a reward. Understanding this loop is the key to changing behavior. But here's where it gets practical. Clear doesn't just explain the loop. He shows you exactly how to make good habits obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying, and how to make bad habits invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. The book includes concrete examples. If you want to drink more water, put a glass on your bedside table before sleep. The visibility increases the likelihood you'll drink it. If you want to work out more, lay your gym clothes out the night before. You're removing friction. You're making the desired behavior the easiest option. Who's this for? Anyone who's tried to change and failed. Anyone who knows what they should do but can't seem to actually do it consistently. Anyone who's tired of relying on motivation and wants to build systems that work even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Number 4 is Deep Work by Cal Newport. Here's a thought experiment. Imagine you could focus completely, without distraction, for 4 uninterrupted hours. How much would you accomplish? Most people have no idea because they haven't experienced genuine focus in years. Your attention is fragmented. Your notifications are constant. Your work environment is designed to interrupt you. Cal Newport argues that the ability to perform deep work is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable. In a world of shallow work, shallow workers, deep workers are worth exponentially more. They produce better results. They innovate faster. They learn deeper. Newport gives you a philosophy and concrete tactics. He talks about the importance of a working philosophy. When will you do deep work? Where will you do it? How will you support it? He introduces the concept of the grand gesture. Sometimes you need to remove yourself entirely from your normal environment. Go to a hotel for the weekend. Rent a cabin. Create a space where deep work is all that's possible. Then there are the tactics: productive meditation, rhythmic philosophy, journalistic method. These are different approaches to scheduling deep work depending on your life and work situation. The key is intentionality. Your focus time isn't what's left over after everything else. It's protected. It's non-negotiable. Who's this for? Knowledge workers. Anyone whose job requires thinking, writing, coding, analyzing, creating. Anyone who feels like they're always busy but never making progress on what actually matters. Number 3 is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. This book is heavier on the science side. Duhigg was a New York Times reporter, and he does what journalists do best. He tells stories, but underneath each story is neuroscience, brain imaging, research from habit labs around the world. The book reveals something fascinating. There's a part of your brain called the basal ganglia. As you repeat a behavior, this part gradually takes over from your prefrontal cortex. In other words, habits move from conscious effort to automatic behavior. This is why habits are so powerful. Once a habit is entrenched, You don't have to think anymore. Your brain runs the pattern on autopilot. But here's the insight that changes everything. A habit is a behavior that's been automatized. But the underlying structure of a habit never goes away. You can't erase a habit. You can only rewire it. The same cue will always trigger the pattern in your basal ganglia, but you can insert a new routine and a new reward. Duhigg calls this habit replacement. The alcoholic who joins a support group. The cue might be stress. The reward is still the social connection and the sense of belonging. But the routine changes from drinking alone to going to a meeting. It's the same loop, different content. Who's this for? Anyone struggling with a stubborn habit they can't seem to break. Anyone curious about how their brain actually works. Anyone dealing with addiction or compulsive behavior who wants to understand the neuroscience behind why it's so hard to stop. Number 2 is Essentialism by Greg McKeown. Here's a trap that high achievers fall into constantly. You're offered opportunities, projects, requests, speaking engagements, new responsibilities. Because you're capable, because you're driven, you say yes to most of them. You want to be helpful, you don't want to miss out. You want to keep your options open. And then you're spread so thin that you do nothing well. You're busy, but you're not excellent at anything. McKeown calls this the paradox of success. You become successful, which leads to more opportunities, which leads to overcommitment, which leads to mediocrity. Essentialism is the antidote. It's the disciplined pursuit of less. The idea is radical in its simplicity. You can't do everything. So you need to figure out what truly matters, and you need to eliminate everything else. Not delegate it, not put it off. Eliminate it. McKeown walks you through the mindset shift. Recognize that almost everything is noise. Few things are truly essential. Learn to say no gracefully. Create space. Protect your time and energy like you protect your money. Invest it in what actually matters. The book includes case studies. CEOs who restructured their companies around essentials. Parents who reclaimed their time. Leaders who said no to things that seemed important but weren't truly essential. The result, in every case, was better quality work and more presence in their lives. Who's this for? Anyone with a full plate and a guilty conscience. Anyone who's saying yes to everything and getting nothing done really well. Anyone who wants permission to simplify and focus. And finally, number 1 is Make Time by Jake Knapp and John Zeratsky. These are the designers who worked on Google products. They've spent years studying time, attention, and what actually works. Make Time is different from the other books on this list because it doesn't pretend productivity is about perfect systems. Life is messy. You're distracted by design. Technology companies employ thousands of people whose job is to capture your attention. The book acknowledges this reality. So instead of trying to be perfect, Make Time offers something more realistic. A framework that's flexible enough to fit your actual life. Every day, you choose one thing. Your highlight. The one thing that, if nothing else gets done today, you'll feel like the day was worthwhile. It might take 1 hour, it might take 5, but you protect that time. Then there are tactics to support your highlight. Energy hacks. These are small things that affect your physical and mental state. Taking a walk, drinking water, eating actual food instead of snacking, getting sunlight. These aren't complicated, but they're powerful. Then there's what they call the spotlight, your attention. The book walks through the dynamics of attention and gives you practical tactics to defend it. Turn off notifications. Batch your messages. Use your phone deliberately instead of reactively. Who's this for? Anyone who feels like their time isn't their own. Anyone whose day feels hijacked by other people's priorities. Anyone who wants a simpler, less rigid approach to productivity. So here's what ties all 5 books together. Productivity isn't about working harder or longer. It's not about complicated systems or bullet journals or the latest productivity app. Productivity is about understanding how you actually work. It's about removing friction from good habits and adding friction to bad ones. It's about protecting your attention and being ruthlessly intentional about how you spend your time. The books complement each other. Atomic Habits teaches you how to build systems. Deep Work teaches you why focus matters and how to create it. The Power of Habit teaches you the neuroscience of why you do what you do. Essentialism teaches you what to eliminate. Make Time teaches you how to live all of this in the real world, messily and imperfectly. You don't need to read all 5. Pick the one that speaks to your situation right now. If you struggle with consistency, start with Atomic Habits. If you struggle with focus, start with Deep Work. If you struggle with changing a specific habit, start with The Power of Habit. If you're overwhelmed, start with Essentialism. If you just want something practical and flexible, start with Make Time. These books aren't magic. They won't fix your life. But they will give you frameworks for understanding productivity that actually work. And more importantly, they'll show you that change is possible. That you're not broken. You just needed a better system. Thanks for watching. Links to these books are